Ladies and gentlemen, let me thank you all for coming today. The culmination of lots of work in this community as it relates to the Rochester Peace Collective, which we announced many months ago. But as you know, once you announce is one thing, but doing the work to actually make it happen is another. And today is the culmination of that work. There's a Chinese proverb that says the best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago. And the second best time is today. So today we are planting $5 million worth of proverbial trees by investing in the community-based programs that will bring lasting peace to our city. For today and for future generations, 20 years from now and 20 years from then and more. Today I am proud to announce the founding membership of the Rochester Peace Collective, 19 local human service organizations that will deliver a coordinated and collaborative approach to the diverse array of nonviolence programming that is already taking place in our city. You can give that a round of applause. The city of Rochester is experiencing levels of unprecedented violence that simply defies explanation. The people of our city deserve peace, and I am committed to delivering it. But I know the true prescription for long-term change in our community must come up from the community itself, not down from City Hall. Public safety in our neighborhoods must come from within the neighborhoods, not the public safety building. The Rochester Peace Collective will help us fund that prescription, which I strongly suspect is hiding in plain sight among these organizations and others. For decades, anyone who has been involved in human services delivery in our city has heard someone say, Rochester is resource-rich, but results poor. And you hear that all the time. But what that means is we have some of the most determined and committed advocates to reduce poverty and violence that lift lives that any city can have. And Rochester is well known for its generosity as a national leader in donations to nonprofit organizations. But despite the richness of resources, Rochester has had, for many decades, some of the highest rates of poverty and crime in the nation. And we know the reasons. Because the disparate organizations working in our city are often too busy to working on their day-to-day operations, it's hard sometimes to collaborate. And the individuals here with the Peace Collective have agreed to collaborate. And more people will be added to this collective. Simply put, Rochester's long history of poverty and crime has exacerbated the challenges they create. Poverty begets more poverty, crime begets more crime, lost opportunities begets more lost opportunities. But we have an opportunity here with our folks in the trenches to help us change that narrative and work towards a better tomorrow. Every mayor before me in modern times has tried to address this sad reality, and every mayor has worked to try to end it. And I am committed to trying to end it. But one of the most important things that we are going to talk about and do is collaboration. You've heard me say it's not me, it's we. The Rochester Peace Collaboration is just one example of how we are coming together to collaborate. It's an example that focuses on our greatest challenge, public safety and violence prevention. Violence prevention. Once the violence happens and that meat wagon comes and puts that toe tag on that individual, it's too late. We have lost a life. This is about how can we as a community get ahead of what happens. We are taking $5 million of our American Rescue Plan funding to support the 19 organizations that represents decades of collective experience and hard-won wisdom. This initial support is just the start of the Peace Collective. These programs span the gamut of good ideas to help people in our community in some of our most challenged neighborhoods. The Judicial Process Commission will help mothers who are getting out of jail get their lives in order so they can be reunited with their children. Rock the Peace will take their own sad experience with losing a loved one to violence to help those who are suddenly thrust into this tragic reality and help learn how to function and go on living with their loss. Action for a Better Community will use evidence-based national models to offer counseling and services to young people with histories of violence and incarceration. The list goes on, and we are going to teach young people how to become barbers. Every one of these programs has merit in its own right. Every one of them deserves support. But the lasting benefit of the Rochester Peace Collective will be the price of entry, because there is a price of entry. The commitment to collaboration and coordination that each of these organizations will bring to the table. The Peace Collective will also establish a reporting mechanism within the Mayor's Office of Violence Prevention to establish metrics of success and share information so these groups can all learn and grow from each other. We're not asking them to do anything they're not already doing. Every nonprofit organization that applies for grants and accepts outside funding understands that those dollars come with accountability measures, and they're used to providing them. The Rochester Peace Collective just takes 19 sets of accountability measures and gets them all speaking out of a common language. And notice I called these 19 organizations the founding members. We have long-term plans for the Peace Collective. We're going to take those metrics of success to attract additional dollars from the philanthropic sector and grow the collective to make it more effective and more efficient every year. So I want to thank the men and women of these organizations for stepping up to create the Rochester Peace Collective with us. And once again, I want to thank the members of our congressional delegation in Washington for awarding these funds to our city and helping Rochester finally become results rich. Thank you on behalf of the people of Rochester today and for the people 20 years from now and people 20 years from then. So I want to have Victor Saunders, who is my advisor on violence prevention services, come up and introduce the 19 organizations, and then I will take some on-topic questions, and then we'll wrap up. Victor.
Good afternoon. First, I'd like to thank the advisory that assisted in going through all the large number of proposals to be able to choose these special individuals, as well as the departments that also assisted us in going through all the different logistical concerns that we had around putting this thing together. First of all, I just want to also thank all of the groups who have signed on to help us launch the Rochester Peace Collective. You know, we already know each other for the most part from putting in this work for as long as we have. Like the mayor said, coordination and collaboration is a primary function of the Rochester Peace Collective. And I'm really ready and excited to get this thing going. When he asked me to take this job, the mayor made it clear that this is what he wanted to do. He wanted to centralize intervention efforts for the city back into the mayor's office and to put my years of experience working in the community with these folks to break down the silos that we all know and recognize has been a problem for so long. I've been working on nonviolence in the city of Rochester for the city of Rochester for 17 years, but in the city of Rochester for about 25 years. And I already know what it takes and in what communities these resources are most needed. You know, I live in a neighborhood where many of them operate and the kids that take advantage of some of their programs live. I'm really looking forward to bringing them all together, and I can tell you they are too. We all know working in silos has been a problem in the city for a long time. So with that said, here are the 19 founding members of the Rochester Peace Collective and their programs. Action for a Better Community. Agape Haven of Abundance Community Outreach Center. Area U. Baden Street Settlement of Rochester, Metro Council for Teen Potential. Cameron Community Ministries. Center for Dispute Settlement, Untapped Ministries. Community Resource Collaborative. The Judicial Process Commission. Line 'em Up Barbering. Planned Parenthood of Central and Western New York. Rise Up Rochester. Rock the Peace. Sound House. The Center for Youth. The Fatherhood Connection. These hard hands. Villa of Hope. Youth Making Change. All of these organizations were selected through the city's request for proposal process. We sent out our request for proposal and some of the most talented individuals working in this anti-violence space answered the call. They know that coordination, collaboration is the price of admission in exchange for this funding. As soon as City Council approves this legislation releasing this funding, we'll set up an organizational meeting to formalize the process in a way that works for everybody. And first and foremost, we want to be able to let all individuals within the city know this is an opportunity for us to be more comprehensive and more cohesive in service delivery within the city of Rochester. We understand individuals in need of those services are in some of our most trying communities, and we want to be boots on the ground offering those supports and services to the best of our ability. Thank you.
Give yourselves a round of applause, these founding organizations. I just want to say that, as I said, this list will grow. We believe that we cannot tolerate the levels of violence that we've seen in our communities, but we have to stop violence before it happens, right? So this is the preventative piece. You hear me talk about prevention, intervention, and suppression. This is the front end. These are front-end investments that we are making because these individuals here have the ability to intervene in folks' lives, but also to put folks on the right track before they even decide to think about picking up a gun, and to intervene in lives of people who may have been impacted by violence, who may then want to retaliate or be so broken and hurt that they themselves may want to turn to violence. All these individuals standing behind me have the abilities to help stop that. So I am so thankful for all of them coming here today. We look forward to the continued partnership over the many years to come, and we look forward to leveraging other community resources to continue to grow the Rochester Peace Collective. The names that are on this board will continue to grow over the months and years to come. So thank you all again for your commitments, and it's so great to see you all here. And I couldn't think of a better way to start the holiday season than by announcing the launch of the Rochester Peace Collective. God is good. Now, with that, I will take a couple of questions. Let's start with Chase Howell, because I know he's got one.
Actually, mine for somebody from the collective, if that's okay, Mayor.
Okay, I'll call on somebody randomly. Go ahead.
Yeah, so basically I just wanted to see how excited you are that this funding's happening.
Where's Wanda Ridgeway? You used to be on camera.
I am very excited. As you know, we've been doing this for years. We just didn't have the funding to do some of the things we, wanted to do. This will help us build capacity, and we're able to service those young people that need help.
And just let me say, so many of these groups I'm familiar with, and it's amazing the impacts that they have had by doing fundraisers, pulling money out of their own pockets, working to relocate people who have been victims of violence, having supportive folks. I mean, some of these folks I have known for years and watched their work, and I'm glad that we're able to help support them and continue in their efforts, and I hope that you will see some transformation here based upon the work that they're doing. Mr. Rogers.
Where can we see this data available, knowing that when this funding is released, where can we see the progress of, when the funding is released, how the data and how is everything going?
Yeah, so we'll have a report, similar like we do with our other stuff. So for all of our ARPA work, we will have a report. So the Peace Collective is just one piece of our overall $200 million investment with ARPA, and we'll have a report. In fact, we have a report where all that money's going. But long term, we hope to be able to report out on all the work that's coming out of Rochester Peace Collective. And because this is public money, it will be widely available and reported for folks. And we hope to have regular reports on the successes that they're having. Because in this community, we need to make sure that we celebrate the successes. And I am convinced that we will be able to quantify, and already we can quantify, the number of families that these people have impacted already. But going forward, we will continue to do that because we want to be able to show, to be able to leverage other additional dollars for this small amount of seed money that we're investing, the impact that it's having. Because these are great front-end investments. And I got to tell you, nonprofit organizations, they know how to make it work. And I can tell you that none of them are getting rich. They're doing it because they care about our community. And I think that we'll be able to show the small investment that they are making and the big impact that it will have in our community. And we'll be touting that on a regular basis. And we already have some success that we'll be talking about from just our small pilots that we did this past summer, where we've, where we've affected so many young folks that the Office of Violence Prevention Programs will be giving updates on, and we give regular updates to City Council as well, and we'll be doing the same thing with this. Chase?
Can you talk about how you measure that success and the impact?
Yeah, I think one of the things that we want to measure that sometimes may not be seen. I have to remind people, and this is a great lesson we don't have all day to go into. So these individuals are not responsible for getting guns off the street, right? They're not responsible for stopping drug deals. So you can't measure them on that. But harder to measure is that when they see a young man named Jeffrey that might be interested in going to get a job, and he may come from a background that's tough, how do we make sure to see that? Where is he a year from now? Where is he 2 years from now? Did he stay out of violence? Is he working? Did he go on to college? Did he go to the military? Or how many families were impacted by violence? And they saw that someone was impacted by violence. Did those kids, 2 or 3 years, then go into violence themselves and do something else? So a lot of these measurements are more nuanced and different. And it's very important that as we talk to the community about prevention, intervention, and suppression, and I have to keep doing this with the Office of Violence Prevention Services, that people have to understand that the work that these people are doing is really front-end investments or intervening in folks who may be returning back from prison to make sure that they don't reoffend or repeat or go back. So those are the types of measurements that we're looking for. On the law enforcement side, we're looking at how many guns we confiscate, you know, that type of stuff. That's the law enforcement side. All these folks here are about prevention, helping to create opportunities, helping to keep people on the right tack, to keep families intact. When we do those things right, people are less likely to pick up a gun. Malik Evans didn't pick up a gun because I had a job. I also had crazy parents who didn't mess around. But I had a job. I was engaged in positive activities. I was around peers that gave me the strength to know what I needed to do, and I got positive peer pressure. That is what all these folks do, and that's the measurement that we're looking at. So it's very, very important that we let the community know that don't go to Wanda Ridgeway and say how many guns did you take up. That's not her job. Her job, she's helping folks who have been impacted by this to make sure that they have a way to go. Rock the peace. This is what they do. So it's important. This is a great question. We're gonna have measures that are about opportunity and preventing stuff from happening, right? And we'll be able to quantify the positivity of the things that they did. And sometimes you don't hear about the kids or young people that have gone on and done good things. Teen Court, for example. That's a program that we're funding, right? Center for Youth. Who's here from Center for Youth? Anybody? But Center for Youth is one of the programs. Teen Court, for example. If a person goes to court, they get in trouble, they don't get a criminal record, we want them to stay out of the criminal justice system. So those are just some of the type of measurements that we want to make sure that we look at. So great question. All right, maybe 2 more questions. Anybody got any other quick questions?
What are some of the initial goals you'd like to accomplish in the group?
I'll let Victor answer some of that, but I'll tell you from my perspective, what I'd like to see is as much opportunities and quantify how many people that we can serve to take advantage of these services. So that's an immediate need. And some of these things that we have here are very, very varied, but we want to make sure that we are seeing people choose peace, hence the name Peace Collective, and not get involved in violence. And there are people, we can tell, the data is clear, we can tell the propensity for someone to get involved in violence. If you've seen violence, 9 times out of 10, you might think about it because that's the only way you know how to deal with it. So how many people have we kept out of violence? If someone's coming back from prison, have they gotten a job? And more importantly, 6 months, are they still out? 9 months, are they still out? 12 months, are they still out? How is their family doing? How are their kids doing? These are the things that we are looking at from the holistic perspective. So we're not looking at surface level stuff. We want to make sure that we actually change people's lives and put them on a trajectory where they can be successful in Rochester or wherever it is that they decide to go. We hope it's in Rochester, but we want them to be successful in their life. Vic, I don't know if you want to add anything else about the measurement.
Specifically, what we'd like to see accomplished right away is to be able to see the members of the collective really dig in and get an opportunity to know more closely what other services and opportunities are available within the community they might not have known about. being able to tie different entities together to allow them to be able to serve a greater number of people and offer more opportunities to those people. Being able to build relationships across lines as it relates to anti-violence and helping individuals getting through some of the most trying situations of their life. I think that is why we've had so many different issues of individuals just not knowing what the other individuals in the city are doing. So I think being able to have us in a constructive, comprehensive way sit down and formalize events and action plans that affect the entire community, but in a way that we are collaborative and cohesive.
And the good thing about this is that, and this is why it's a collective, because none of them are in competition with each other. They all want to win. And this is my message to Rochester. We can all win by working together, because there's something that one organization is doing that another one isn't, and they can send folks back together. We all are going to win in Rochester, and that's the message that we're sending. We're all going to win because this is an example of a collaborative approach, and we hope that this model will continue to inspire others in the community to see how we can work together, and that this can expand. Yes, there's dollars involved in this, but I want to be clear that the Rochester Peace Collective isn't just about dollars. It's about saying, yes, we want to work together in a collaborative way to move towards a more peaceful society through our collaboration. And that's what we are so excited about, and that is why I am so thrilled that we finally come to this point to announce them. Obviously, there's a lot more work to do, but the fact that they are all here today and raised their hand to say, yes, we want to be a part of this collective is good for Rochester, but more importantly, it's good for future generations who will come after us to know that at this moment, we chose to say that we're going to collaborate for peace, not just for those that are here today, but for future generations. So thank you, everybody, for being here. Thank you so much.